Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Divine and in today's video I'm going to show us how to cut and sew this beautiful reversible underbust corset. So this corset can be worn both ways. So if this is something you're interested in, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. So these are the materials I'll be working with. I have my black fabric, I have my African print fabric and my hair stay. So firstly, I'm going to be drafting out the pattern for this underbust corset. And starting from the top of my pattern paper here will be my chest line of 7.5 inches. Next, I'll mark my length underbust of 12.5 inches and my half length of 16 inches. I'll draw out a straight line. Then from the half length, I'm going to come down with 7.5 inches for my hip line. So I'm going to label these lines, my chest line, my length under bust, my half length and hip line. What I'll do next now is to impute my bust measurement divided by 4 on my chest line. Then on the half length, I'm going to impute my round body measurement divided by 4. I'll impute it plus 1 inch for that. Then on the hip line, I will impute my hip measurement divided by 4. Then I'll connect these points together. So we don't need the shoulder measurement for this draft, just from the chest line to the hip line. Now on the half length, I'm going to go inwards with 3.5 inches, which is my nipple to nipple. And from that half length, I'm going to go up with 5 inches and come down with 5 inches. So we're trying to draw out our dart, and the length of our dart is 10 inches. I'll connect a straight line. Then on both sides of this line, I'm going to mark ½ inch. Then connect to the top like so. So after doing this, because this is a corset, I'm going to be going inwards on the half length line with ½ inch. So I'll mark ½ inch inward so we can snatch the waistline of this corset. Now connect it. Then on the half length, I'm going to come down with 2.5 inches here, which I will connect back to my half length line. So this will give us that nice shape on the corset. Now on the center front from the half length, I'm going to come down with 5 inches and I'll blend it to the side like so, using this part of my curve. So you can make yours a V shape, or you can just curve it out this way. So this is what I'm having. So by the time we'll be cutting out, this is where we are going to be cutting, following this part I've highlighted. So to draft out the back, I'm going to extend these lines out, and this is going to be my starting point, my center back. After which, I'm going to be imputing the necessary measurements, our waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for that. And on the chest line also, I'll mark our bust measurement divided by 4. So basically what we have at the front is the same thing we'll be having at the back. So I'll connect. And our hip measurement divided by 4, I'll mark that on the hip line and connect. So on the waistline at the front, we went in with ½ inch here. I'm going to do the same for the back. And from the half length, I came down with 2.5 for the front. I'll also come down with 2.5 inches at the back. Then I'll connect like so. Next, I'm going to determine the spacing I want to have at the back. And from the center back, I'm going to come in to mark 4 inches. Then I'll draw out a straight line. And at the hem here, I'm going to draw out a straight line also. So this is the back of the corset. It's not going all the way. So I'm having 4 inches spacing at the back. And our loops are going to be sitting here. So this is what we are having for the back draft. So next, I'm going to label the center front, middle to middle and side front. I'll label the up, and I'll do the same for the back so that we're not confused when we are cutting our pattern. So cut out these darts, and this is it for the front. And for the back, this is what we are having. So these are my fabrics here. I'm going to iron my hairstay on both the black fabric and the African print fabric, then go ahead and cut out my pattern. And I've done so, and all around my pattern I added a seam allowance of 1/2 inch all round, except the center front, which is on fold. So I added 1/2 inch seam allowance around my pattern. I'm just going to arrange them properly. And I also went ahead to label the pieces, these fabrics here, so that's exactly what we have on our pattern. I labeled exactly the same on the fabric. Then I'm going to join with 1/2 inch, join each of these pieces with 1/2 inch. So I've cut out a piece of black fabric here. I have a width of 2 inches. I'm going to fold it inwards till I'm having 1/2 inch. So we need to create loops for the back of the corset. So this is what I have after joining with 1/2 inch. I've gone ahead to iron open the seam allowance. Now I'll place the two pieces on each other, right side facing each other. I'll sew the upper part with 1/2 inch. And I'm also going to use my hemming gum at this part. So after sewing with 1/2 inch now, I'm going to just trim out a little bit of the excess allowance there. So don't trim out the hemming gum, just a little bit of the seam allowance, so that place is not too bulky. Then I'll arrange it properly. I'll arrange the top part properly, so that will make sure the Ankara is not peeking from the black fabric. And this is what we are having. Now I want to draw out where our boning channels will be. And on this center point, I mark the middle. And on both sides of this line here, I'm going to sew 0.25, so that we can create a boning channel of 1/2 inch. So I ended up not sewing on this center line anymore, but that is what you will do if you are creating a boning channel on the center line. And on this side, I'm going to sew on this joining here, then sew another 1/2 inch on both sides of this joining. Also on this part here, I'm going to sew on this line, then sew 1/2 inch again on both sides of this line, so that we can create a double boning channel where our bones are going to pass through. Then at the hem end here, I'm going to mark out 1/2 inch, which is the sewing allowance first, after which I'll mark another 1/2 inch for where another boning is going to pass through. And before I take this to sew, I'm going to sew my loops to this corset. So this is the rope I'm having here. Sorry, it's not so visible, but this is the rope I'm having here. I'm going to cut 3 inches in length, and I'm going to cut as many as required. So this rope now, after folding the 2 inches rope, I'm having 1/2 inch width. So I'm going to cut out 3 inches length. Then on the side here, I'm going to mark out the spacing I want to have for the loops. So I'll mark out where the loops will be. I'll mark out a spacing of about 1 inch. I'll mark out where the loop will be. I'll mark out a spacing of 1 inch till I get to the end. But make sure it doesn't get to 1/2 inch towards the end, because we need a 1/2 inch for hemming it down. Next, I'll fold the loop into 2 like so, and make sure the side on fold is inside. Then I'll place the hem at the tip like so. I'll fold the loop again and place the tip at the end like so, and stitch down. I'll do this like so, then stitch down all the way. I'll do the same for this other side. So this is what I'm having. You can see our loop. This is what I did. Next, I'm going to turn it over to the wrong side and sew the sides with 1/2 inch. So this is what I'm having. I've also gone ahead to sew the boning lines I created, and you can see it's not so visible on the Ankara part. Next, I'm going to insert my boning, and I have here my plastic boning of 1/2 inch and my sewable boning of 1/2 inch, but I'm going to be using my plastic boning for this. And also when sewing your boning channels, you will not sew the boning lines all the way to the end. As you can see, you will leave about 0.75 to the end. This is so that we can be able to completely finish the lower part of this corset. So I'll measure what I have from the boning channel and minus ½ inch from it and cut out my plastic boning. So I'm going to just notch the sharp point on this, then insert my plastic boning through the channels I've created. So I'll do the same thing. I'll measure what I'm having again and I'll cut. I'll make sure I minus ½ inch from the boning, so the boning does not get to the end. We need the end to be free so we can fold it in and sew. So I've done that now for all the boning channels. To finish the end, I'm going to fold in like so. I'll fold the black fabric, fold the Ankara fabric in and sew at the tip very neatly. So I'll fold it in and sew at the tip, and I'll do that for all the end. Our corset came out so well. You can see how snatched and beautiful this underbust corset is. Thank you guys for watching and see you in my next video. Bye for now.